Hello, everyone in the health and wellness space. So, my name is Rachel Feldman. I am the proud creator of yourhealthcoachbiz.com. It is where we create content for coaches so that you save time and you spend more time building the trust factor. And the reason that we are making today's training about building the trust factor is I see so many coaches struggling in this area. So, problem one is many of us think that we can build our website, blog, and people will find us. Many of us also think that if we create the beautiful Facebook ad and we promote a workshop or a webinar or even a program that people are going to click. And that does work when we are clear on the message. Another problem I hear from coaches is that they hear crickets, they don't convert. So they spend a lot of money. And then when it comes to conversion, when it comes to the offering, whether it's your one on one, virtually or face to face, whether it's a group, online or offline, whether it's a membership, a do it yourself, which is also known as a self paced program, aka DIY, or a course, or a a masterclass, any paid offering, and also even free offerings. I've seen coaches who struggle to convert to a challenge, to convert their list building opportunity. And often they say to me, Rachel, I did everything right. What am I doing wrong? And I actually had this conversation with a few coaches this week, and it propelled me to look back at when I built Rachel's Wellness and say to myself, Rach, what did you do right? Even though you felt extremely confused, extremely overwhelmed, no clue on how to create a work with me page, what to offer, what to include, how to price it. I didn't even understand the word downsells or upsells or even the power of a funnel. What I did know is people were coming to me and they didn't always have the money or they weren't the right fit for one on one. I knew all these things. I knew the problems like many of you do, but I didn't know how to solve that. And if you look back, when I built Rachel's Wellness in 2010, I was probably the only one with a few of my friends and family that were liking my posts on Facebook. So trust me when I say that I've been there. Before we even get into today's unbelievable topic on list building and some simple strategies, I want to say this before we move on. One of my mentors, she always says, and she is a seven-figure earner, multiple seven-figure earner in different businesses in the health and wellness industry. And she would always say, I posted for 2 solid years with a few likes, only myself and some friends, but I never quit. So I want you to think even right now, are there areas in your social media content calendar, even in list building, where you're spending too much time in that perfection mode trying to figure out your niche and your ideal client? Not that you shouldn't figure that out, but we only know it by showing up. Let me just say that in a different way. I see many coaches who, of course, we sit in perfection. It's our business. We have dreamed of this business from the day that we entered school. And for most of us, even way before that, because we've been living this health and wellness journey for many, many moons. Whether it was your own story, whether it was your frustration with the system, that for your child or your loved one, or even maybe you witnessed your parents or you're a caretaker. Either way, you were propelled, many of us, from the beginning stages of life to be a caretaker, a helper, to pay it forward. So I want you to think, even in right now, are you sitting too much in perfection instead of testing your message, instead of building trust? Have we have you, because I know I did, fallen prey to thinking that if you have an evergreen webinar, or you follow this one blueprint, this one roadmap, or that you have a paid program or your one signature flagship program, that it's going to fix everything. It's going to build the trust. That is not what builds trust. I wrote this morning on my Instagram. Maybe you're saying it backwards, but on my Instagram, which is at rachelafeldman.com, I posted this one line: people buy people, not products. So most importantly, what I want you to open your mind to, whether you need to do a vision board on this, or whether you need to say mantras, or the I am statements. I am worthy of clients. I am willing to let go of imposter syndrome, because the truth is many of us do not show up because we don't believe in ourselves. We're comparing ourselves to others, and or we haven't completely fixed our own health issues. That was me. If you go back to my videos many years ago, that was me building this business with ulcerative colitis, bleeding, massively bleeding. And that also propelled me even more because nobody could figure it out. Many of you have the same stories. Nobody could figure out your issue. Or somebody told you, you just must be crazy. That's in your head. That's not possible. And that is all of your angst, your purpose. It isn't just your passion. It's the ability to build trust goes even before the list builder. It's you declaring what you want to be known for. So that's step one, your niche. What do you want to be known for? I want to be known for gut. The pillars of my business became detoxification, because I sat there after my son, and I was a health coach already, and I had just graduated from my second detox school, and my son ended up in the hospital for pneumonia. I knew why. I knew that there was strep, different forms, strep A, strep B. There were different forms of strep, gamma, all these, blah, 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 all on the stool test. And at the same time, I kept saying, we've done a lot. I know biofilm, I know all these things, but we're still in this hospital. And it was at that moment that I said, you know what? I have to start really looking at these other natural solutions for my kids, because I can't just detox my kids in the way that I did. And that is what started to help me create this signature process in this system. And that's why essential oils and homeopathy and CBD oil and all these things became a really huge part of our life. Cupping and Epsom salts and rebounding, the detox principles. And so when I started understanding the pillars of my business, and I started to let go this idea, I never want to be a weight loss coach, which I'm not. And I'm not the typical weight loss coach, but people kept coming to me for that. Hey, I see you're so fit. Can you work with me on my weight? And I kept saying and fighting it. I'm not a weight loss cheerleader. No way. But what I realized was, if I stepped back and started understanding that a lot of people were coming to me with that, even those who had massive autoimmune. Because remember, our story, our personal story, and our journey, we often attract our ideal client. So the people that I attracted were not coming to me for superfoods, changing their habits. They were coming to me with a myriad of different issues. And still, many of those people, the deep problem, that wake up problem that kept them feeling a lack of confidence, not loving their body, stopping them from having the intimacy with their partner, stopping them from going out with their friends, was weight. And yes, it was other issues of bloating and nauseous after eating, and the fear of traveling, which I had. How am I going to travel with all these health issues? I knew all of that. And at the same time, I had to start also speaking the love language of many people. So, step number two is to write down the problems that you experienced in your personal life and the problems that your niche has in columns. Column one, the problems that you had, aka known as your hero journey. And these are the problems where you say, throughout my life, I remember when I struggled with problem one, and then it got really bad, problem two, and then it got really bad, problem three. And what you'll have by the time you do this, whether you take a huge timeline and you put it on the wall or a whiteboard or even a vision board, is you will see these distinct places in your life where you struggled with different aspects that I guarantee your niche is struggling with as well. So the second part of that is to then go general, because your business is not about you, but what it is about you is those stories, because that is where our ideal client identifies with us. The good, the bad, the ugly, the inspirational stories, the kind of girlfriend chat stories or guy chat, like, hey, maybe you didn't know, but I'm a little embarrassed to say this. I suffered with chronic urinary tract infections. And I'm talking about this because so many people struggle with this and we don't talk about it. Also, the teacher kind of verbiage when we are list building and trust building. The, hey, guys, I was reading this book. And in this book, it talks about some of these herbs that are really beneficial for people who have immune issues like me. Let me show you what it looks like to have an autoimmune flare versus just to have lowered immune. Then to be able to really flow people into your life, to show them your behind the scenes. That's why on Instagram, you will often see somebody saying, this is my work, or hey, this is my meal. And they're taking a snapshot of their food. And then they are niching that, of course, to their ideal client, to their niche, to their ideal client's pain points, their problems and their pleasures, the pain and the desire. And so when they see that behind the scenes and they're like, wow, Rachel was talking about this liver support. And of course, she told me to check with check with my doctor. She's a coach. She's not making any claim, but you know, I never knew about this company by Renewed Life. Wow, I never knew about this other company that she was talking about. Huh. Rachel was talking about these strategies and this information that she's had to research for years. That's all of the trust building without even saying, here's this challenge. Here's this opt-in, because that is when you're asking. Too often we launch our business and we spend so much time behind our computer instead of doing what many of our successful coaches have done. An example is Jess Royston. Many people often say to me, there is no way that without paid ads that JJ, CC, Jess Royston, myself got clients. There's no way. But what every one of these coaches did right is they would get a freebie, a workshop, or a program. Jess had gotten our spring detox, it was a spring detox, and she was launching it. And before she launched it, she took, which is what I call the 2 and 2 method. She took a solid 2 weeks before to start dripping out the trust. 1 week of saying, hey guys, maybe don't know dandelion and cilantro and parsley are really amazing bitter greens. These bitter greens do 1, 2, 3. I remember when, my doctor told me that I had heavy metals. I had no idea that cilantro is this amazing. Here's cilantro, here's a cilantro oil, and really sparking the interest, making people say, wow, this person is different. And that comes with the confidence and knowing that the information that you have spent years, the struggles, the wins, the excitement, the things that you have overcome are the secret to your success. And of course, we make sure that we are creating content and speaking about content and building that trust and that awareness with our ideal client, with, of course, a strategy in mind. We, in the testing phase, even when you're testing, hey, do my people understand gut, or do I need to go a more basic level of explaining it? You can still pull from a freebie, like our 7 ways to repower the gut. That's 7 days of content. The same thing with the freebies that we have at Rachel A. Feldman /free tools, 2 different freebies. The one that I would love you to sign up with right now is the 4-day Jumpstart. That's a 27-page guide with recipes. You can do a recipe. Here, this recipe, maybe you're struggling with, overeating. Maybe you struggle with cravings. Maybe you're having hormonal imbalances. Maybe you're having gut. You niche that content to for your ideal client, because we are the problem solver. So always think about those columns. The third is you start to track what is working. That's hard data. You start to look when you're asking engaging questions on a personal Facebook page, a poll on IG stories, a poll or a quiz that you are doing in a Facebook group, or even when you are getting people on the phone and saying, as I've said in these videos, I'm looking for 10 people who fit the description of 1, 2, 3. This will only require you to meet me for 1 hour, and in exchange, you get free coaching and a 4-day program. Or in exchange, you get free coaching. And if you want to test a 7-day, not only are you going to get all the market research that you need, but you're also going to gain the coaching confidence, because you're going to start hearing not only their testimonials, but they're going to tell you if this was doable. And if it wasn't, where were their roadblocks? The very things that your ideal client says on the phone, or on a live, or in a class, or underneath a post is the very content that you use for your lives, for a blog, for your newsletters, for a workshop, leading people up to your paid offer. Hey guys, I posted the other day. Somebody said to me, I'm having gut issues. Can I do your detox? Well, I wanted to tell you about, many people have come to me with a myriad of food allergies, a myriad of X issue, a myriad. And the reason that I created this is to help people with the following issues. So they are empowered and they can start to identify what foods are actually triggering. And then understand not only your niche, the pain and the pleasure, but also the why. Why did you create this? Who is it beneficial for? When we can say those key things, which is, I want to be known for, I help people who are struggling with my content, my freebies, my talks, my lives. I am going to test the following topics, which are part of my business. They're the core pillars, the fundamentals of what I teach. And so, an example like Jess Royston, where is she today? She has been talking about wanting to launch a membership for 2 years. The very areas that she has drilled down that she knows her ideal client wants, now she has a membership based on those pillars, using our content, saving that time, because what she does so beautifully, like the other coaches I mentioned, is to show up and is to give value to her ideal client, the moms that are struggling with clean eating, the moms that want to go vegetarian, the moms that want to, embrace green living, the moms that are struggling with gut, the moms that are worried about their kids' health. She has those proven pillars because she took the chance to show up. And so I highly encourage you, in recap, to make a column of your personal story. Look back. Look back on the things that you wish would have been available to you. Boom. That is the social media post. That is the topic for the live. That is the topic for the challenge because you're creating content that solves a problem that either you wish was there or you wish was there for your child or you wish was just there in the system. Then you're going to create my ideal client, she or he, my niche desires, they have these problems and they want this pleasure. They want this problem to have a mini solution. So what is the pleasure? The third column is going to be, the content that you're creating. How can you take that and show up with conviction and with clarity, solving those and be the leader in your industry? So I just want to make sure that we cover those because anybody can sell a low cost offer. Anybody. Anybody can create a value ladder, the client journey, where you're building that trust because it's easier for somebody to say, oh, it's a $50 masterclass. I get access to a 14-day detox and this live workshop. Once that workshop is done, that becomes a product on your site. It's very easy for somebody to say, well, I'm not ready to commit with you for 333 a month. We know that transformation, which is really a 1K program for 3 months. We know that transformation is life changing. Unfortunately, many of our clients, many people, it's human nature. We don't invest until we trust. And that is why Brendan Bouchard's, we know this strategy is proven. That's why Brendan Bouchard teaches his academy students, his high performance academy, to offer a 90-minute session and to say, we can do this 90-minute. Why don't you see what it would be like to work with me? And if you want to, in the next like 2 weeks or after the session, use this and I will take that money and I will include that right into the 30-day and we can start our journey together. Some of you are going to have a 2-tier or a 3-tier work with me. Some of you only want to work with clients who are fully committed. And some of you, like the podcast that I have on Rachel A. Feldman /podcast, are going to be like Dr. Dixie, where she has a high rate to work with her for an hour, $600 and I think $50 plus. And at the same time, her heart, similar to when I was coaching, bleeds for the person who can't afford her. Because that is the mission and the why for many of us. You shouldn't have to be the elite, the affluent to afford health, to afford these different health options. And so she has low cost offers. And that's how we start to build this beautiful funnel of the customer life cycle so that when you are on a phone call and somebody can't afford you, you have another opportunity because if they're really blown away, they're going to naturally upsell or or you're going to send an email or you're going to follow up with a VIP phone call. How was that? How was the masterclass? What are your desires? What has worked for you? What has not? What are your goals? I know that you signed up for my Repair Your Period workshop, or I know you signed up for my end dieting workshop. I know that, this is clearly a desire. What has stopped you before from following the plans, the many plans that are out there, and giving those high mileage questions? Because most often we need to talk it out. We need to have somebody hear us and really get us. And that's why I always believe in the trust building phase and even in the list building, making ourselves available to people, saying, hit reply if you want to talk to me. At the end of an email, even say, here's my phone number. You will see many people who do this, and that strategy invites somebody to feel like you're just friends, which you are. Anybody in your funnel is a VIP person, even if you have a list of 10 people. If you took an hour out of your week and you left a message or you sent a video response with loom.com and said, "Hey, I wanted to formally introduce myself. Thank you so much for signing up for this opt-in freebie or signing up for this 4-day Jumpstart. I wanted to tell you a little about me. I want to tell you a little about my story. I wanted to also share with you the results that I've had with myself, my family, my friends, and some of my clients. And if you don't have clients, guess what? It's enough for you that you have been to hell and back, whatever that version looks like for you, because you are standing strong with conviction on what you know, one, needs to change. Two, the massive problems that your niche struggles with, the massive problems that your ideal client, the avatar, that each different person who all has the same problem, they could all have gut problems, but they're different kinds of people. One is at home and she's a high powered CEO. She has a bunch of different worries and different problems versus the man who has gut issues. And it's not so much of his gut, but it's like skin and some, acid reflux versus the other woman who is a stay at home mom with kids under 3 versus stay at home mom with kids over 16. The possibilities are endless when we start to have empathy and step into the shoes of each person. And that is also how we build trust. We build trust because we start to craft our content and our messaging and our lives and our workshops around the empathy that we have, the problem solving, the empathy that we have, the problem that we address the elephant in the room. That takes courage. But each one of us came to this to change the world, came to this business. And then we share the mini solution, whether it was your own, that in which you have helped somebody else, etc. I think we all get the picture. So what I wanted to end with and to really be able to give you some action steps for today is people don't just fall into your funnel. People start to want to get to know you because you consistently show up and you share a consistent message, inspiration, problem, recipes that help, topics that maybe your ideal client, your niche are struggling with because they too are confused. They are as confused as you were when you were searching and Googling and reading books. They also either feel shame or guilt about telling somebody that this is a problem because we live in a world where we do have that shame and that guilt. So we often don't share our problems. Little problems, really big problems. We often are even looking for somebody to just tell that story that we have inside of our heart, that we have even in our subconscious and our conscious because we feel alone. And that is the magic of being a coach, is that we are able to share and talk about the many pieces of the puzzle and the steps that it takes to get to our health goals, but we reverse engineer for our niche. Hey, are you struggling with gut issues, but maybe you don't even know what gut is? Let me explain. Tip 1, this is what gut issues look like. Tip 2, hey, I have a lot of people who come to me for weight loss. I do weight loss completely different. I focus on the lymphatic system. I focus on draining and pumping that lymphatic system. And here's one of my favorite things that you can do with your kids. We do this. It's called rebounding. When you get the lymphatic system to cleanse out the funk, per the work of John Juilliard or any other detox pioneer out there who speaks of these great techniques, and Louise Gittleman, Linda Page, Kim Schneider, you have the ability to end that vicious dieting, cycle that so many of us go. How many people have not been able to lose weight even though you're doing the perfect plan? Drop a 1. Then you get the engagement. The next day, you look at the engagement that was there. How many people have said that? Because you're talking about something that everyone feels. I can't tell you how many people I worked with where one person lost weight easily, 5 pounds, and the other person lost a quarter of a pound. And they felt like a failure. So, day three, I know many of my clients often feel like a failure because they are doing that plan perfectly. Maybe there are some the gut issues. We know this word gut and gut brain axis. Let me help you identify, or here's a great recipe to rebuild the gut so that you don't have to feel like a failure because it's not your fault. Another pro tip is, get your thyroid checked too often, and then really building that story, that engagement, that synergy of helping somebody to come into your life and get to know you, because it's in those moments that's where we convert. The freebies, the challenges, the lives, the workshops, as I discuss, how do you list build in these training series? How do you also list build without even requiring somebody to sign up? So you get them into the funnel conversation, not a bot, not not a Facebook ad, not a retargeting ad, the simplicity of human connection. All of those strategies can work. Some don't work for, I would say, very sensitive health topics, but that is also for each one of us to discover our intuitive funnel, our roadmap, and the love language of our ideal client. But I know one thing to be true. When we don't share these parts of our lives, doesn't mean that you have to share things you would never want to share, but when we don't share the parts of our life that allow somebody to see that we are relatable, that we are human as well, that we make our own mistakes, we have our own struggles. And it's not that we use our social media as a diary. We share the struggle and we share the solution. We share, I was stressing the other day because I'm one of those gutsy kind of people, an overthinker, a feeler, a lover. I take things personally. Are you like this? If so, you are my person. Let's get to know each other. So the other day I was stressing and I started to feel my stomach hurt and I started to get a headache and I started to see the signs of overthinking. So this is what I did. When we build the trust factor and we don't just jump to worrying about the likes, the numbers, the signups, but we think of every person as a VIP customer, our vibe, our interactions, our funnels, our emails, our social media comes off heart-based and not salesy. Let me just say this clearly. The offerings you have don't have fear. You are offering a service that you wished was around. And I say this and I even get teary because I think about all the times I left a doctor's office with a diagnosis and cried, felt alone, didn't know who to share it with. And that's why I always sought out people to hire: acupuncturists, homeopaths, shamans, energy workers, acupuncturists, Chinese herbalists, color therapy. The list goes on because I was searching for freedom. I was searching for somebody to say, here, we're going to take you on this next step. We don't need to know everything, and we don't. So for me, I know my experience. I know the knowledge in my head. I know what I went through. I know what I've done. I know what I wished was different. I know the vision that I have for the change in this world. I know my why, and my why does always make me cry. And I hold that really close to my heart because on the times that I want to quit, and there will be sometimes 100 times in a day because there are 86,400 seconds in a day. And sometimes the overwhelm and the fear of showing up is so difficult that we're like, that's it, I'm not doing this. And sometimes that person just abandons what is working before they have that breakthrough. I'm sharing this with you because too often you don't see what's behind the scenes. You don't see the beginning years of struggle. We only see the end result. We see the testimonial. We don't see, and I've shared about this a lot, but we don't see Megan Rand, who has zestyginger.com, who is an unbelievable coach, gives unbelievable value, was on my podcast and shared how she went from zero of anyone knowing her to the engagement that she has today on Instagram, which is where she only builds her business with Dr. Alex. And she shared exactly the steps that she took. What we don't hear is that she was one of those people, like Dana Denali, which I talk about a lot, who couldn't even get 5 people to sign up for her detox. They bought from me back in 2012. So please, guys, understand we all start in one place, and to sit and look at the content, download that free content we're giving you. And if you're ready to get more and make it specific for your niche with the exercise that we talked about. Furthermore, if you, and I've seen this in some of my paid groups, and I have these interactions, of course, with coaches, if you know that your niche, like Ashley, like Dr. Ashley, who I did a hormone funnel for, we did it on live. If you know your niche is hormones, you know a huge pillar is estrogen dominance and repairing the period, go then all in and start talking about that. Start creating the buzz, the trust, before you even ask for the call to action, the sign up. Trust me, when we do this, people will want to hire us because when we build trust and we really speak to our niche, hey, did you know that estrogen dominance is a huge uh, part of the dysbiosis that can happen in the gut? I would relate it to gut because that was an issue for me. That was the excess estrogen. And I had all these nasty yeast infections, maybe too much TMI, but I thought, wow, I struggled for this for so long. Of course, then I shared having heavy metals and that my body was creating that yeast as my doctor, who has since unfortunately passed away, my young adult doctor, he would always say, the body creates yeast to protect the organs from the heavy metals. It was in every experience, every word that was said to me that creates our experiences. So don't deny your ideal client these relatable stories. And if you don't want to share that, I share it because I know that the woman like me is suffering. And if I think that, as my first coach always said to me, stop thinking about yourself, get over yourself. You need a healthy ego for this. And at the same time, ego and pride is what stops us from showing up. Show up and share what you know the woman like you is struggling with. That the woman like you is sitting there feeling defeated. It's affecting her life. It's affecting these areas of her life. And that's what allowed me to stand strong and bold, even when I had no clue what the hell I was doing. So if you do know that you want to focus on those specific areas, then buy that content and go all in. Give yourself deadlines, as I talked about in these free trainings. You have to have deadlines in order to thrive as an entrepreneur. You have to also have realistic deadlines. So if you know, wow, I'm going to, let's say, hypothetically, launch June 1st, this amazing program, then this would be the time that you start telling the story and then your opening cart June 1st, and your program start date is June 15th. There are so many ways to make things really simple and to not feel overwhelmed, and to also not have our head completely in our in not have our head completely lost in the overwhelm of showing up. We will talk next time on how to launch a low cost offer. So stay tuned for next week's episode on that and that free training, because it does not have to be complicated. There's a template, and one template that works for master classes, one template that works for memberships, groups, do it yourselves, even your low cost offers in your one-on-one work with me, whether it's virtually or whether it's face to face. What I need you to do this week is to pull down your content, get clear on those columns as we talked about earlier, and go all in. Drop the fear, work on the money mindset, and be honest with yourself if you feel like an imposter. Don't have shame. I can't tell you how many coaches say, Rachel, I'm reaching out to you personally because I feel like this is such a stupid question. Or I'm embarrassed to share this in the group. And I always say, that embarrassment, that fear is what stops you. And that fear is what we are trying to eradicate in this world, because that fear leads us to martyr. That fear leads us to hold and push things down. That fear is what feeds our guilt. That fear is what feeds the shame. And then we wonder why the system is still feeding on fear, because we are still feeding it ourselves. So your job is to say, where am I not showing up? And to be honest with yourself. Create a vision board, do mantras daily. If you need to smudge, I have my smudge stick. I do it daily. Get some sage. One of my favorite companies for sage is livinglibations.com. There are 2 different sages that they have, really, really special. Do that work. If it's crystals, go and buy crystals for your chakras. We also have a 7-day chakra challenge. I put myself on that last week because I was like, this is the time, Rachel, you need to be balanced. We always need to be balanced, and we always need to be grounded and doing earthing and all of those things we all do. And guess what? Everything I just shared are those magical things within our day. And when you write down the magic in your day, in your night, your nightly habits, the very cool things you do with your children or your loved ones, the very things that have created this amazing epic space in your life, and also some of the struggles that you had. Doesn't mean that you have to do or share all, but we do have to allow our potential client, to say, wow, this person is so freaking amazing. She gave me this amazing tip. She gave me this protein ball that was gut loving protein ball because she added this really cool colostrum, or this adaptogen. She was talking about adrenals, or, she added this prebiotic to these protein balls. Wow, I had no idea we could do that. Wow, Rachel made a probiotic protein ball with her favorite probiotics. That is so freaking cool. What an easy way to get this into your kid's body. When we share those things that we do in our day, that's the magic. Where you're bringing them, that's the icing on the cake. That is the tangible. So we have the intangibles. The intangibles are when we say, come and journey. This is the promise. By the end of this month, you will know. But it's still the intangibles, because we're promising a transformation. No matter what niche, no matter what system and process that you have in your business, what differentiates you is how you describe that, the detail, the specifics. In my membership, we're doing a exercise right now on our process, our signature process, so that it's easy to showcase that on an Instagram post, on our website, in our verbiage, in our lives. That's the part that you can showcase, but still, coaching is the intangibles. The tangible are the recipes, the downloads, the the content that we provide. So make sure there's a beautiful balance of all the above. I know we covered a lot today, but it's necessary. And it's necessary that I don't just come on and say, hey guys, buy a funnel from me. It's going to work. I can't say that because I coached online, offline, JV partnerships with all different types of gyms, grocery shopping tours, all those kind of things that we are taught in school. And then we get out and say, how the heck do we do that? And that was the reason that I started creating content for my business. And it was one coach that said, my goodness, Rachel, you're getting hired. You just got featured in these magazines. What are you doing? And I said, I'm showing up. Those magazines found me because of the videos I have on YouTube. And hint, they were not cute. they were not great, but I did it anyway. So that is the big message. Get over yourself. Your ideal client is desperately waiting for you. She or he needs you. They need to hear that they're not alone. And with that being said, it's been my complete pleasure, if I could say that, my complete pleasure to be with you. It doesn't have to be as much of a struggle. Building a business is hard. And at the same time, when we are grounded within ourselves and we are working on all of those core fundamentals of our mind, the imposter syndrome, calming our fears down, we can rage against the machine. We can show up with courage and conviction. And we can identify very clearly the problems because we've either lived them or we watch them or we desire the change in the world. It's that simple. Don't overcomplicate what you are meant to do. This is not your passion. This is your purpose. I will see you guys soon. Can't wait to build a world that is empowered, build a world without deprivation, build a world where, oh God, it just makes me really like, build a world where we don't have little girls thinking that they have to drink Diet Coke at 7 years old. Build a world where we have women and men who can share with people that they have like body conscious issues and that they're shaming themselves left and right. Build a world where people are not afraid to share what they believe because they are willing to let go of the trauma that they've either inherited, that they've watched, they've witnessed, because they know they are not defined by their past experiences. To build a world where this information is so freely available that we have choice. And that to me has always been my deep, big vision. So, yeah, my why makes me cry. And I know yours does too. Own it, feel it, and show up. I love you guys, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. And I can't wait to see you rise above the fear. All right, guys, big kisses, a big virtual hug, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye, guys.